Some places on Earth look too harsh, too isolated, or too dangerous for anyone to call home. But people do. They live on floating islands made of reeds, in cities squeezed between cliffs and rivers, under deserts hot enough to cook the ground, and even inside a volcanic crater in the middle of the ocean. Today, we're counting down the top 9 most extreme places humans actually live. Stay until number 1, because the final place is a tiny village inside a sleeping volcano, and escaping it may not be easy when nature wakes up. Before we begin, tell us in the comments which extreme place you think would be the hardest to survive. Number 9. Rebo, Indonesia. High in the mountains of Flores Island, there is a village that looks like it is floating above the clouds. Imagine a circle of giant cone-shaped roofs standing in the middle of a green mountain forest. Mist rises from the valleys. Clouds drift across the slopes. At sunrise, the village appears like a hidden world suspended between earth and sky. This is Rebo, one of Indonesia's most unforgettable mountain villages. Rebo sits about 1,200 meters above sea level on Flores Island. It is known for its 7 traditional houses, called Ambaruniang, each built with tall conical roofs that can reach nearly 15 meters high. Inside these houses, several families may live together under one roof, creating a strong sense of shared community. Life here is not built around speed, noise, or convenience. It is built around tradition, mountain terrain, and survival in isolation. To reach Rebo, visitors must hike for about 3 to 4 hours through mountain forests. Electricity only arrived in recent years, meaning that for a long time, nights here were lit by fire, moonlight, and stars. The village was originally built more than 100 years ago by the Manggarai people, partly as a way to avoid conflict between tribes. What makes Rebo powerful is not just its beauty. It is the fact that people chose elevation, isolation, and hardship in exchange for safety and identity. The people here did not simply survive in the mountains. They turned the mountains into home. But Rebo rises above the clouds. The next place is trapped between a mountain and a river, with almost no room left to breathe. From Indonesia's cloud-covered village, we travel to China, where an entire city has been squeezed into one of the narrowest urban spaces on Earth. Number 8. Yanjin, China. This is a city so narrow that from above, it looks like a thin line drawn between cliffs and water. Yanjin stretches along the Yangtze River in China's Yunnan province. Mountains rise sharply on both sides. Buildings crowd the riverbanks. Roads, homes, shops, and schools all squeeze into a long, narrow corridor where nature leaves almost no extra space. From above, the city looks less like a normal city and more like a ribbon of concrete pressed into a canyon. Yanjin is often described as one of the narrowest cities in the world. In some areas, the city is only about 30 to 300 meters wide. Because usable land is so limited, buildings are constructed close together, along the river, and sometimes on stilts or reinforced foundations. Here, urban planning is not about expansion, it is about compression. More than 100,000 people live in this narrow city. That means daily life continues in a place where the mountains and river leave almost no margin for growth. Flash floods, falling rocks, and limited space are constant reminders that the city exists inside a natural squeeze zone. For residents, this is not a strange attraction. It is everyday life. Yanjin proves that when land runs out, people do not always leave. Sometimes they adapt until the city itself becomes part of the landscape. But Yanjin is still built on land. The next community lives on islands that are not made of rock or soil. They are made of plants. From China's narrow canyon city, we move to Lake Titicaca, where people have built entire floating villages from reeds. On one of the very highest lakes in the world, people live on islands that can slowly drift across the water. Across the blue expanse of Lake Titicaca, golden reed islands float on the surface like giant woven mats. Small houses stand on them. Boats made of reeds glide nearby. The horizon feels wide, cold, and open, with mountains in the distance and sky reflected in the water. At first, it looks like a dream. Then you realize people actually live here. The Uros people have lived for generations on floating islands made from totora reeds. These reeds are stacked in thick layers to create the base of the island. The same material is also used for homes, walkways, docks, and boats. The islands require constant maintenance because the lower layers slowly rot in the water and must be replaced with fresh reeds. Lake Titicaca sits about 3,812 meters above sea level. Around 120 floating islands are home to nearly 2,000 Uros people. A larger island can support several families, depending on its size and thickness. So this is not a floating weekend cabin. It is an entire way of life built on plants. For the Uros, the lake is not only water, it is road, foundation, food source, protection, and identity. Their ancestors developed this floating lifestyle as a way to survive and remain independent. Living here means constantly rebuilding the ground beneath your feet. For the Uros, the lake is not only water, it is road, foundation, food source, protection, and identity. Their ancestors developed this floating lifestyle as a way to survive and remain independent. Living here means constantly rebuilding the ground beneath your feet. But floating islands are only one form of extreme living. The next town is built on the edge of a volcanic cliff, where one wrong turn can bring you face to face with a drop. From Lake Titicaca's drifting islands, we travel to Spain, where a medieval town balances on a wall of ancient lava. Number 6. Castellfollit de la Roca, Spain. This tiny Spanish town looks like it was carved directly into the edge of a cliff. The village is built on a basalt cliff formed by ancient volcanic lava. The ridge rises about 50 meters high and stretches nearly 1 kilometer long. Over thousands of years, rivers eroded the softer earth around it, leaving behind the dramatic wall of volcanic rock. People eventually built a settlement on top of that narrow natural platform. The town has fewer than 1,000 residents and covers less than 1 square kilometer. Many buildings are made from volcanic stone, and the village's narrow main street gives the strange feeling that everyday life is happening on a balcony above a valley. In some parts, a peaceful walk through town can bring you surprisingly close to the cliff edge. If you had to live in one of these places so far, would you choose the village above the clouds, the narrow city in China, the floating islands, or the cliff town in Spain? Drop your answer before we reach number 1. Number 5. Longyearbyen, Svalbard, Norway. This Arctic town is so very extreme that people are almost not allowed to be buried there. Longyearbyen sits on Norway's Svalbard archipelago, far north in the Arctic. Mountains surround the town. Snow covers the land. During winter, darkness can last for months, wrapping streets, houses, and frozen slopes in a strange polar night. This is not a place where nature feels distant. Nature is always at the door. One of the most famous facts about Longyearbyen is that burials have been prohibited for decades because bodies do not decompose properly in the frozen ground. If someone passes away, they are usually transported elsewhere for burial. It sounds strange. But in a place where the earth stays frozen, even death must follow Arctic rules. Longyearbyen began as a coal mining town in the early 20th century. Over time, it became a center for Arctic research, polar expeditions, and extreme tourism. The people who live here are not just enduring cold. They are living at the edge of human settlement, where science, isolation, and survival meet. But Longyearbyen survives in the frozen north. The next city survives in the opposite extreme, deep inside the largest rainforest on Earth, with no roads connecting it to the outside world. From the Arctic darkness of Svalbard, we travel to the Amazon, where a city of nearly 500,000 people depends on rivers instead of highways. Number 4. Iquitos, Peru. This is one of the largest cities on Earth that you cannot reach by road. Deep in the Amazon rainforest, Iquitos rises along the riverbanks like a city hidden in green wilderness. Boats move across the water like taxis. Floating homes shift with the flood season. Wooden docks replace highways, and the river becomes the city's main road. Nearly 500,000 people live there, but long-distance travel depends mainly on boats or planes. In Iquitos, the river does that job. Because of seasonal flooding, many homes along the river are built on stilts or designed to float. When the water rises, entire neighborhoods can appear to drift with the Amazon itself. Here, the city changes with the river, and the river decides the rhythm of life. Iquitos remains a major Amazonian city where people adapt to heat, insects, wildlife, heavy rain, floods, and isolation. To live here is to accept that the river is infrastructure. But Iquitos is extreme because roads cannot reach it. The next place is extreme because its builders deliberately climbed toward the sky. From the Amazon's river city, we travel to Greece, where monks built monasteries on stone pillars so high they look suspended in the air. Number 3. Meteora, Greece. These monasteries were built on giant stone pillars, as if the people who made them wanted to leave the world behind. In central Greece, massive sandstone towers rise from the landscape like natural skyscrapers. On top of them sit monasteries, perched at the edge of the sky. Mist moves through the valley. The cliffs drop sharply below. From a distance, the buildings look almost impossible. Meteora does not look built. It looks placed by something beyond human strength. Meteora means suspended in the air, and the name fits perfectly. Beginning in the 14th century, monks built monasteries on top of towering rock pillars to seek isolation, prayer, and protection from raids. At one time, 24 monasteries stood across the region. Today, 6 remain active or preserved. Building Meteora required extraordinary effort. Materials were lifted up by ropes, ladders, nets, and pulley systems. Every stone, beam, and supply had to rise hundreds of meters against gravity. Before modern stairs and access routes, reaching these monasteries was itself an act of faith. For the monks, Meteora was not just shelter, it was spiritual defense. By living high above the ground, they separated themselves from violence, distraction, and the dangers of the world below. Today, Meteora is recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, but its power is not only architectural, it is emotional. It shows how far humans will go to build peace in impossible places. But Meteora rises into the sky. The next place goes the opposite direction, underground, where people hide from one of the hottest deserts on Earth. From Greece's monasteries in the air, we travel to Australia, where an entire town learned to survive by disappearing beneath the ground. Number 2. Coober, Pedy, Australia. In this desert town, many people do not build homes above the ground. They dig them into the earth. Coober, Pedy developed this underground lifestyle because surface temperatures can become brutally hot, reaching around 45 to 50 degrees Celsius in summer. Instead of fighting the heat with endless air conditioning, locals carved homes into the soft rock below. These homes, known as dugouts, stay at a more stable temperature throughout the year, cooler in summer, warmer in winter. The town became famous because of opal mining. Coober, Pedy is often called the opal capital of the world, and decades of mining helped shape both the economy and the underground landscape. What began as a mining solution became a way of life. People did not only dig for gemstones, they dug for survival. Thousands of people still live in Coober, Pedy, proving that even in one of the harshest desert environments, humans can create comfort by working with the land instead of against it. While most cities build upward to escape limits, Coober, Pedy survives by going down. But Coober, Pedy hides from the sun underground. Number 1 lives inside something far more dangerous, a volcanic island in the middle of the ocean. For number 1, we travel to Japan, where a tiny community lives inside a double volcanic crater, far from the mainland and surrounded by the Pacific. Number 1 is Aogashima, Japan, a remote island village where people live inside a volcanic crater in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. From above, Aogashima looks unreal. A dark green volcanic island rises from the sea, shaped like a giant bowl. Inside that bowl is another smaller crater, forming a rare double caldera. And within this strange volcanic landscape, a tiny human settlement sits quietly, surrounded by steep slopes and endless ocean. There are no crowded highways, no large cities, no easy escape, just a small village living inside the shape of an ancient eruption. Aogashima lies about 350 kilometers from Tokyo and covers only around 6 square kilometers. Its population is tiny, roughly 160 to 200 people, yet the community has survived in one of the most unusual inhabited locations on Earth. The island's double caldera makes it visually breathtaking, but also deeply unsettling. Life is partly self-sufficient. Residents grow crops such as sweet potatoes and vegetables, fish in the surrounding sea, and use geothermal heat from the volcano for cooking and warmth. In a place like this, nature is not a background. It is the power source, the danger, and the identity of the island. Aogashima is an active volcanic island. A major eruption in 1785 forced residents to evacuate, and many lives were lost. Decades later, people returned because this island was their ancestral home. That is the detail that makes Aogashima more than just visually extreme. People did not live here because it was easy. They came back after disaster. Today, reaching the island is still difficult. Visitors and residents depend on helicopter service or small boats. When the sea becomes rough, the island can be cut off from the outside world. If a major eruption or severe storm occurred, escape would not be simple. Aogashima matters because it shows the deepest form of human attachment to place. From the outside, it may seem irrational. Why live inside a volcanic crater? Why stay on an isolated island where storms can trap you and escape routes are limited? But home is not always chosen by comfort. Sometimes it is chosen by memory, by ancestry, by identity, by the land that shaped your family long before it frightened outsiders. The people of Aogashima do not just live near nature. They live inside one of its most powerful geological forms. They have built routines, families, and community in a place many people would only dare to visit for a few hours. That is why Aogashima earns number one, because it is not only extreme in climate, location, or architecture, it is extreme in meaning. A village inside a volcano, a community surrounded by ocean, a place where beauty and danger are the same landscape. From the air, it looks like something humans should have avoided. But down inside the crater, people cook, work, grow food, raise children, and live ordinary lives in one of the least ordinary places on Earth. Aogashima forces one question: is home the safest place you can find, or the place you refuse to abandon? The most extreme places humans live are not just strange locations on a map, they are proof of adaptation. In Rebo, people built a village above the clouds. In Yanjin, a city squeezed itself between cliffs and a river. On Lake Titicaca, the Uros built islands from reeds. In Longyearbyen, people live with darkness, permafrost, and polar bears. In Iquitos, the river replaces the road. In Meteora, faith climbed into the sky. In Coober, Pedy, homes moved underground. And in Aogashima, people returned to live inside a volcano. These places remind us that humans do not only survive where life is easy, we survive where meaning is strong enough to make hardship worth it. Which place shocked you the most? Would you dare live in any of them for even 1 week? Let us know in the comments. And if you enjoy documentary-style rankings about extreme places, human survival, and the strangest corners of Earth, subscribe for more. In the next video, we'll explore the most dangerous places on Earth people still visit every year.